Hey folks, last topic of the course really. There's some optional content for next week on array lists, but I might not even make a video on it because it is going to be optional. Just some extra stuff for your interest. So this is the last official topic, mouse events. And this is a fun one. If you take a look at the guide here, basically a mouse event can be a button press, a button release. Anytime the mouse moves over a component, a mouse event happens. The mouse can be dragged, which means that a button is held down while it's moving across the component, and so on. Normally, we don't have to deal with mouse events because usually we're just worried about button presses and stuff and keystrokes in text fields and so on. But when you're dealing with a canvas, if you're putting together like a little game or a paint app, which is what we're going to do for the assignment, you need to be able to handle the mouse events yourself. So this is kind of fun, and it's not that different from buttons. I got some sample code to show you. The mouse event demo class here. Let me just run it. It's pretty simplistic right now, but we'll add a couple of things to it. So if you take a look down here in the output window, there's two events I think that are handled here. If I click and release, there's a click event and a release event, and it's reporting. This is a report of which button was pressed, and this is a report of the location where it was pressed. So I clicked and released at the same location. If I click over here and then drag over to here, and now I release the button, then I pressed the primary button at this location and released it at that location. If I right click, it comes out as secondary. If I click the mouse wheel, it comes out as middle. That's all the buttons I have. If you have other buttons on your mouse, if you've got a gaming mouse or something, you might be able to make it say other things. Okay, so this, it's not drawing anything on the screen. This is just I should have said before, this is just a single canvas element placed on the root pane. Let's take a look at the code here. So you can see we create a canvas and we add it. That's all we've got, is just the canvas. And then I immediately color it yellow so that we can see it. And I get the graphics context here as well. And then I'm adding event handlers. So onto the canvas C, instead of set on action, it's add event handler, and I have to specify using predefined constants which mouse event I'm interested in. So there's a list of them over here. You can also look up the mouse event class in the API and see a list of them as well. So pressed, released, moved, dragged, entered, exited, and so on. And then the second parameter for this thing is a handler. Just like we've written before. So I'm going to add another handler. So these are my two handlers. You see that the signature for them is very similar to event handlers. They're void, but instead of an action event, they take a mouse event object. So when the systems that are involved detect that a mouse event has happened, they create this object with a bunch of information about the event, and they pass it to the handler that's registered. So then there's a bunch of information in here. So get button is a method that gets me the button that was pressed. Get X and get Y tell us where the location was. And again, if you look up mouse event, you'll see there's a bunch of other information in there. If you look it up in the API, or even if you just go me dot, you'll see get event type. There's different X's and Y's. These are fun. So if you want to control click, me.is control down returns a boolean to tell you whether they're holding down control. There's if shift down, is alt down. So you can alt click, shift click, control click, and so on. Okay, there's a bunch of information in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new handler, and you guys can follow me along if you want. We're going to do something more interesting than just do a system out print line. We're going to maybe draw something on the canvas. So I'll call this the draw handler. Takes a mouse event, ME, and let's say we want to draw a circle centered right where the mouse is. Okay, so I've got my X and my Y, and let's say I'm going to draw a circle of radius 10. No, let's make it 20. So I can go, I probably need to set the color. gc.set, oops, I don't have gc. I need to make gc up here. Graphics, context, gc, I need to declare it here. See, it can't be a local variable, and remove the declaration from inside the start method. So now I've got it. gc set fill, color dot, I don't know, how about cadet blue? Have we used that one before? Chartreuse. I always forget what that color is. I think it might be a green. Okay, so we're setting the color to that, and then we're going to do a fill oval. And I mean, one way to do it would be me.getX, me.getY. This gets us the location of the mouse, 2020, like that. That's going to draw it. It's going to not be that satisfying because it's going to draw it from the top left. So the circle actually isn't going to appear under where we clicked. But let's leave it like this for now, and then we'll fix it in a second. We have a new handler. It's called Draw Handler. And maybe I'll attach it to a mouse pressed. So c.addEventHandler, mouse event dot, let's use mouse pressed. We've already got a handler that responds to a press event, but that's okay. We can have multiple handlers that respond to the same event. And there it is, Draw Handler. Okay, let's rerun this and see if it works. So now when I press down, but not when I release, there we go. See, it doesn't really appear where I want it though, because of the way drawing works. It's drawing it in the top left, and you can see that we're also getting the pressed and released events here as well. So let me just fix that. I'm going to make it go into the middle. So it's 20 by 20. So if I just subtract the radius, which is half of the size, from the X and the Y, then we'll be drawing from, not from right where the cursor is, but from above and to the left of where the cursor is. I think I'm doing this right for you guys, above and to the left. So we start drawing from there, and then it appears as if it was centered on the curve, on the cursor. So here we go, click. There we go, that's nicer. Click, 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 click. And we can play around with other events. Like if I do this mouse underscore moved, like that, then we get, where are we? Here we are. As soon as I move in, oh, here we go, look, I'm drawing. Every time a move event goes off, it draws a circle. It doesn't always look connected. If I go like this, if I go really fast, you'll see that it's it's a little bit, it doesn't always, not every single pixel triggers an event. There's kind of a timing thing in there as well. So if you wanted to connect them all and make sure they were all already connected, you'd have to do more work than that. I can also do mouse dragged. There we go. That's maybe a bit better. Mouse dragged triggers when you have the button held down. So I can move over here, it's fine. When I click, I don't get a shape, but when I drag, I get a shape. So actually what you might want to do is mouse dragged and mouse pressed. So that when you initially press, so same draw handler, when you initially press, you get a shape, and then as you drag, if you've still got the button pressed down. So if I just press once, I get one shape. But if I press once, it gets drawn, and then I start to drag with the button held down, it goes like that. Okay, and there are other things that you can do as well. Let's use the same handler and add it to mouse entered. This is one you might not use quite as much, but I'll let it run here. As soon as I enter the canvas, wherever I am, it's going to draw a shape there. Boop, see that? Boop, boop, and I still have my click and drag. And there's a mouse exited as well, that whenever you leave the component. So whenever I enter the component area, the canvas area, it goes off. I mean, that's pretty much it. That's all you need to know for now. There's an assignment that makes use of this, plus array lists, plus exception handling. I'll do that in the next video. But let's take a quick look maybe at the exercises. So there's a bunch of these exercises, and I think you should try as many of them as you can. It says to use the mouse event demo for A through F. So just give a bunch of these a try. So add code to the existing handlers so that when a mouse button is pressed, a red square is drawn on the screen. So you could just modify the code I just showed you for that. So that the red square is drawn if the primary button is pressed, but a blue circle is drawn otherwise. So if I should be able to, if I click the left button, I should get a red square. If I click the right button, I should get something different. Yeah, actually, to really do that, you need, let me just go to Java FX API 15. So it's the primary button. Let's go to the mouse event class. So what you'll notice that is that in the mouse event class, there are a bunch of constants Oh, sorry, mouse button, not mouse event. Here we go, mouse button. Make it a bit smaller. See, this is actually an enumeration, which is a different kind of class thing that we didn't cover, but it just basically has a bunch of constants in it. So if you want to know if the primary button was pressed, you can go me.getButton and ask, does it equal primary? Does it equal mouse button dot primary? If so, it was the button 1. Otherwise, it's some other button. So these are all the possible buttons that you can get pressed. So that's part B, and then you can try as many of these as you want. When the mouse button's released, a green rectangle. When the mouse button enters the canvas, it should be cleared to light yellow, and when it leaves the canvas, it should be cleared to black. So you enter, it clears the screen, you start drawing, then you leave and it all goes black, and then you re-enter and it's all light yellow again. Then yeah, you can leave trails. I've already done that one. And then this one's a tricky one. Add a new handler so when the mouse moves, a shape follows it across the screen. This can be accomplished by clearing the screen to pale yellow or whatever color, and then drawing the shape every time a move event happens. So when the move event happens, you clear the screen and draw the shape. So that's going to make a shape follow the mouse around the screen, but it's also going to clear the screen every time you move the mouse. So it'll kind of invalidate these things here. So there's a really advanced one here, which I'll let you guys take a look at, which involves 2 canvases, which is where you get the shape to follow the mouse without erasing the canvas. So you put 2 canvases on top of each other. The bottom one is the one you're drawing on. The top one is the one that's going to receive the events, and sometimes this is referred to as a glass pane. So it should be transparent, clear it to transparent, using the clear rect method. And then that's where you draw the shape that's following the mouse. So if you do that, you've got the 2 canvases, you've got the shape following the mouse, and underneath it is a canvas. Sorry, I think I did this backwards. The glass pane is here, the canvas is here. The canvas you're drawing on is here. So when you get an event on this canvas, you draw on this canvas back here. Unless it's the mouse move event where the shape is following, in which case you draw it on the glass pane. Anyways, that's advanced and a bit more advanced, but if you want to give it a try, that would be a cool thing to accomplish. So you've got a drawing app where whenever you go out there, a little shape follows you around, but it doesn't draw unless you click. And there's solutions to all of these, and then there's a bunch of other things to try as well. Yeah, just try the basics, and then we'll take a look at the assignment. Okay, I hope you have fun with it, and I'll see you in the assignment video and in the live class.